In this pestering video, two topics, 5.6 and 5.14, pest control methods and integrated pest management, are being reviewed. When we talk about pest control in agriculture, it's important to realize that pests include far more than just insects. Farmers must deal with a wide range of organisms that interfere with crop growth, such as rodents, weeds, fungi, and plant pathogens. For example, rodents like voles can destroy root systems, and fungal diseases, such as powdery mildew, can spread rapidly across entire fields. Even birds, including species like starlings, can cause significant losses by eating seeds or young plants. The key idea is that anything reducing the productivity of agricultural land becomes a pest in this agricultural context. As farms expanded over time, so did the diversity of pests that threaten them, making effective control strategies increasingly important. Modern agriculture now uses a combination of chemical, cultural, and biological approaches to handle these threats. Understanding these systems helps us to see why pest control remains one of the biggest challenges in food production today. Pest control has existed for as long as humans have cultivated crops, beginning with early farmers who experimented with planting patterns to reduce pest damage. In ancient Mesopotamia, for example, people used sulfur compounds to repel insects, reflecting an early attempt to use chemical properties for protection. Fast forwarding to the 20th century, the development of synthetic pesticides like DDT dramatically changed agriculture by enabling large-scale, long-lasting pest suppression. DDT and other organochlorines became widely used because they stayed active in soils and continued protecting crops for long periods. However, their environmental impacts eventually led to bans and stricter regulations. More recently, agricultural systems have moved towards integrated approaches that combine ecological knowledge with targeted control methods. This shift paved the way for modern integrated pest management, which emphasizes long-term sustainability. Today, farmers balance traditional methods with new techniques to help maintain effective pest control while also reducing harm to ecosystems. Pesticides are classified based on the organisms they target and how they function, which allows farmers to choose products that fit their specific needs. Broad-spectrum pesticides can kill many different types of organisms, while selective pesticides target a narrower group, such as only insects or only weeds. An example of a broad-spectrum pesticide is malathion, which affects a wide range of insects, whereas selective herbicides might target broadleaf plants while leaving grasses, such as wheat, mostly unharmed. Another important distinction is persistence. Short-lived pesticides break down quickly, while persistent ones, like some pyrethroids, remain in the environment longer and provide extended protection. Likewise, some pesticides are synthetic chemicals, while others, derived from natural sources such as neem oil, extracted from the seeds of the neem tree, or pyrethrum extracted from flowers. Farmers also rely on category-specific pesticides, including fungicides to combat fungi, or avicides to manage crop-damaging birds. By understanding these classifications, farmers can more precisely match pests with appropriate control strategies. Applying pesticides effectively requires even coverage across the crop and enough contact time to ensure the chemical works as intended. Farmers may use large-scale sprayers or aerial application to maximize uniformity, especially in crops like corn or soybeans. Over time, however, repeated pesticide use creates a strong selective pressure on pest populations. We've seen this with the Colorado potato beetle, which has evolved resistance to more than 50 different insecticides across multiple chemical classes. Similarly, glyphosate-resistant superweeds, such as Palmer amaranth, have spread across the U.S. in agricultural fields due to long-term herbicide exposure. As resistant individuals survive and reproduce, pesticides become less effective, forcing the development of new products or new management methods. This evolutionary arms race makes pest control increasingly expensive for farmers. It also highlights why diversified approaches beyond chemical control alone are becoming more essential in modern agriculture. Genetic modification has played a major role in pest management since the 1990s, particularly through traits that improve resistance. Some genetically modified crops are able to produce internal toxins, such as the Bt proteins found in Bt corn, which target caterpillar pests like the European corn borer. Other crops, such as glyphosate-tolerant soybeans, are engineered to survive herbicide applications that kill surrounding weeds, enabling more efficient weed control. Researchers have also developed plants that produce attractants to draw in natural predators. For example, some experimental GM plants release substances that attract parasitic wasps that attack aphids. More recent innovations include gene editing approaches that strengthen plants' natural defenses, such as enhancing enzymes that make them less palatable to insects. These strategies reduce reliance on chemical pesticides while helping maintain crop yields. At the same time, they do require careful management to avoid the evolution of resistance in pest populations. Integrated pest management is a long-standing concept that combines multiple strategies to keep pest damage at economically acceptable levels. Although modern IPM grew in popularity in the 1970s, the idea reaches back thousands of years to early Chinese and Sumerian agricultural practices. The heart of IPM is prevention, designing systems that make crops less vulnerable before pests even become a problem. It also emphasizes minimizing the risks to people, animals, and ecosystems by reducing unnecessary chemical use. A good example of IPM in practice is the use of biological controls, such as ladybugs released to manage aphid outbreaks in orchards. Another example is adjusting field conditions, like planting dates or crop rotation, to reduce pest survival. Crop rotation is the practice of planting different types of crops in the same field across successive seasons, rather than growing the same crop repeatedly. It's advantageous because rotating crops disrupts pest and disease cycles, helps prevent soil nutrient depletion, and can even improve soil structure and fertility over time. Chemical pesticides remain a part of IPM, but they're only used when monitoring shows that pest populations are exceeding acceptable levels. This holistic approach helps maintain sustainable agricultural production over the long term. IPM incorporates several categories of control methods, each contributing to a more balanced approach to pest management. Biological controls involve using natural enemies. For example, farmers may introduce predatory insects, like the previously mentioned ladybugs, or lacewings to help control whiteflies in greenhouses. Mechanical or physical controls include strategies such as using mesh screens to keep insects off crops, or installing pheromone traps to monitor and reduce pest populations. Cultural controls might involve changing irrigation practices to reduce fungal diseases, or rotating crops to disrupt pest life cycles, such as rotating corn and soybeans to reduce corn rootworm populations. Chemical controls are still used within IPM, but only in a limited and targeted fashion, usually when other methods cannot keep pests below threshold levels. The combination of these approaches creates a layered system that reduces reliance on chemical interventions. Ultimately, IPM encourages farmers to think ecologically and strategically about pest management. Even though IPM is highly effective and environmentally beneficial, it does come with challenges. Implementing IPM often requires more time, knowledge, and labor than simply applying routine chemicals. Farmers may need to conduct frequent monitoring, such as scouting their fields for pest counts or setting threshold-based action plans. Some IPM strategies take longer to show results. For example, releasing parasitoid wasps to control caterpillars may take weeks to significantly reduce populations. Additionally, biological controls can sometimes be unpredictable, as natural predators don't always establish well in every single environment. For smaller farms, the complexities of IPM may be too difficult to implement without technical support. Coordinating multiple tactics, biological, cultural, mechanical, and chemical, requires careful planning and oftentimes additional cost. These limitations help explain why some producers still rely heavily on chemical pesticides, despite the long-term advantages of integrated methods. And that wraps up these two topics. Thanks, and take care.